Hello. Hello, welcome everybody. Give me a few minutes as I also set up on my desktop, and we'll give our LSC members a few minutes and people to join on our YouTube live stream.
Hello, this is Mary.
Hello, Mary. Thank you for joining. I'm letting the local school council join on, and also people who are joining our YouTube live stream to jump on as well. Give me a few minutes as I set up on my desktop as well.
Thank you.
Welcome. I am setting up on my desktop. Thank you. I see more people joining us. And I'm sure people are also joining our live stream on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you again for joining us. Is Mr. Asensio on the call already? I don't know if Mr. Asensio is on the call, whether he's on the call on his cell phone or on the actual call itself. No. Well, to respect everybody's time, I will call the meeting to order. It is 5:09 p.m. And right now I bring you some news that our chairperson, Marisela Mateos, has communicated with me that she will, due to her new position, she will not be able to continue to help us serve on the local school council as her work schedule is not permitting that any longer. But I appreciate her time and effort and input up to this point. It's been greatly appreciated. I'm going to try to make some of her ideas come to fruition in the near future, and I'm sure she's going to continue to give her input as she's a very active parent and very supportive of her daughter. But I did want to bring that to people's attention. And I was wondering if Mr. Asensio was also on the call, as he is our vice chair, and I was wanting him to proceed with the meeting. But since I do not see him on the call, I'm double checking right now. I will continue with our roll call. Simply unmute. Oh, yep. Thank you. Mr. Garces is reminding me. Mr. Garces is reminding me that he is recording the meeting for the future. If you need to access any of our previous meetings, they are available on our website. So again, I will be calling roll call, and simply unmute and say your name and say that you're present, and I appreciate it. Rueda Ahmad, are you joining us? I know I spoke to Ms. Hamad earlier today, and she said she would be joining us by phone. If you can unmute and say you are present.
Good afternoon. So sorry for being late. How are you guys?
Oh, hello. Mr. Asensio, can you preside over the meeting as the vice chair?
I try to do the best I can.
We were just about to get started with roll call, and I did announce that Marisela Mateos, our former chairperson, has notified me that she would no longer be able to serve and participate on the local school council. And then we're about to proceed with roll call.
That's a pity. That's a real loss for the school. This meeting will call to order. It's 5:12 p.m. on May. So what should we do? Should we continue doing reading the agenda and then approve it, or what?
I guess we can begin to review it.
Okay. I don't think there's anything that we should change. Everything, to me, it looks fine.
Mr. Garces, I know you were on early to attempt to begin to record. I'm not sure if you see Mr. Israel Flores attempting to join the meeting to permit him. Someone was a bit early in joining, and he is trying to join the meeting now, but for some reason he's saying that he needs approval to join.
He might not be in a CPS account, I believe. When you are not in a CPS account, it is impossible to join the meeting. I think, I'm not sure. It should be open because it's an open meeting, but here he comes.
Okay, Mr. Flores, I'm going to try to troubleshoot by having you on the phone here with me.
Okay, because it's been on this page for a while. Just asking to join.
Okay, so I'm going to have Mr. Flores here join the call and join the meeting via cell phone connections here.
Okay.
He is on the agenda. Mr. Flores, if you can open your agenda as well.
Okay.
We go ahead, Mr. Asensio. I believe we have quorum with Mr. Israel Flores on the call.
All right. The agenda, to me, it looks perfectly well. I don't see no changes. If any member is intending of making any changes for approval, now is the time to do it.
Sabrina Woods, I would like a motion to approve the agenda.
Second,
I second the motion.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
You can write it in the chat if you want.
That'd probably be better to cast votes. Just make sure you put your name pops up and then you vote. Mr. Flores, are you approving the agenda?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. All right, then we will proceed with reading the minutes of the prior agenda, which was the meeting last month that I wasn't able to attend.
So in the meeting, the last month's meeting, we did not have quorum.
Okay.
We did not vote on anything, but we did review as many items as possible for the people who were able to attend during that meeting where we did not have quorum. But we would have to approve the meeting minutes of our last meeting.
And those are where are those?
And they're attached to the
The
calendar invite for March.
1 second. For March?
Yes. And actually this, let me, I have the incorrect agenda up. This is actually the one for our last meeting. Let me put up the correct agenda. I just noticed it said April on top. I am going to put the corrected one on top. Give me 1 second.
I only see 3 documents, 2 PDFs and 1 Word document. The document is the minutes, but the minutes here are for, yeah, it says March 16th.
So actually, this is the these are the minute the agenda for this meeting that we would have to approve, Mr. Asensio, that we would
Is
have
the-
to review and approve. This is for May 18th. This is today's date.
Today's date. The one that you have in the screen right now?
Correct.
Okay.
It's also found on the calendar attachments.
Okay. Does anyone has any questions as to the items?
Did you need a motion to approve the?
Yes, ma'am.
I motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
Mary, I second.
Ms. McCann.
And that's for
This is for this
today, right?
Yes, correct.
So Woods, Oaks to approve. But I'm going to murder the last name of Ms. McCann. FCCA, Ms. McCann?
Yes, FCCA.
Okay. Sorry, I hate to murder last names.
It's fine.
Mr. Flores, you can they can hear you if you want to vote to pass the agenda for today.
So we're at voting point. So yeah, I vote aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So it's documented in the chat so far.
Woods, aye.
Ms. Malhas? Okay. So now that the minutes and the agenda have been approved, we want to open the floor for public participation.
Do we have Ms. Kearns on the call? Ms. Kearns, she had signed up for public participation at the for the meeting today.
The problem is that I only see telephone numbers. I don't see the name of the person. Anwar, you do realize that you can vote for the agenda as well, can you? Anwar?
Yes, I approve.
Okay. I'm a little bit green on these things.
So I think Ms. Jessica Kierans did not make public participation. We do have an added public participation at the end of the meeting in case she in case she's able to join us later on.
Okay.
She has a direct link to the meeting.
Okay. All right. So now we open to new business, appointments of parent vacancies.
Yes, we have a submission of a parent, Rufino San Gabriel, parent of a student here. He said he would be able to join. I also have him linked, or I provided him with the meeting. Señor San Gabriel, ¿está en la llamada?
Sí.
Okay, so he speaks Spanish, so I will help translate. See, he submitted the application to fill one of the parent vacancies. Estoy explicando que entregaste tu aplicación para poder servir como un padre en este comité del consejero local de la escuela, el Local School Council. Si puede dar una explicación por qué le interesó participar en este grupo.
Bueno, porque quiero participar en la escuela de mi hijo y ver pues, que él decida pues, vamos, que la escuela sea apropiada para él, pues, relacionarme un poquito más con la escuela de mi hijo, pues, esa es la idea.
Okay. So he's explaining that he's just simply interested in the participation at the school level because his son attends Foreman. Mr. San Gabriel is also a participant, a regular participant in our bilingual advisory committee, also known as the BAC. So he participates in that parent organization as well. I motion to accept his application and to serve as a parent in one of our vacant seats for the local school council.
I second the motion.
All of those in favor?
Aye.
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 Woods, aye.
Can you guys put it in the chat, please? Thank you so much.
This is Mary McCann. I'm having a hard time with my chat, so, but I do say aye.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Mr. Flores also on the call says aye. Señor San Gabriel, estuvo aceptado al grupo. Muchísimas gracias por su participación. Le voy a mandar más información sobre nuestras juntas y toda la información que hemos recibido durante este tiempo para que sepa qué estamos haciendo. Y otra vez, muchísimas gracias por su participación. I only have one question. He did submit his application. We just voted him in. And I know Veronica Dearden-Jackson, our central LSC rep, is on the call. Is he able to participate and vote during the rest of the meeting, or does that start the following meeting? Just if you can provide clarity.
As soon as you approve him as an LSC member, he becomes an LSC member with voting rights.
Thank you.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Yeah. So the next order of business will be Culture and Climate Safety Committee, the presentation and vote for safety plan and recommendations for SROs at Foreman.
Thank you, Mr. Asensio. Can I share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to stop sharing here. Give me 1 second.
All right, so I am joined by Dr. Melanie Lopez to present on behalf of the Culture and Climate team and the Foreman Safety Committee. My name is Kristen Zecchi. I am an assistant principal at Foreman. So to give a brief overview of the safety plan for next school year and how it was developed, it started with the Culture and Climate team, also serving as the Safety Committee. So when you see these acronyms throughout the presentation, C&C is short for Culture and Climate, and then we have our Safety Committee. So as a Culture and Climate team and a Safety Committee, our focuses have been these 5 priorities that you see here. We're focused on using restorative practices meaning those the things that we do to help coach and train our students to go restore the behavior that took them out of class or took them away from their learning and reflect on the decision making that got them there. We're also focusing on building school culture through our Pride campaign, which I will talk more about in a little bit. We're focusing on working towards social and emotional learning, also known as SEL, and self-care, and we're being very intentional about the way that we improve our students' SEL. Another big focus of ours as a Culture and Climate team is really elevating our student voice here at Foreman and getting students involved in the policies and the decision making, and especially when it comes to safety and behaviors that we see here at school, we want our students to play an important role in that. And last but definitely not least, we're prioritizing school safety so that Foreman is a place where all students can learn. So the members of this team are listed here. I won't go through all of them. The team is made up of about 14 people, myself included, Dr. Lopez, who you'll hear from in a bit. We have 4 teachers, our social worker, one of our 2 social workers, 2 of our restorative coaches, and 2 of our special education classroom assistants. We also are joined by LaShonda Thornton, who is a community and schools partner who works with Foreman, and then our SOAR partner, Miss Marquita Jones. So for those of you who don't know what a safety plan is, a safety plan is developed by most schools in CPS. We are required to analyze our disciplinary data, look at where the majority of our infractions are coming from, and identify the school's strengths and weaknesses, and then use that data to develop this plan, which is known as a safety plan. And that plan is meant to address the weaknesses or the areas where we're seeing the most infractions. We group behaviors or infractions by 6 different groups in CPS. They start in group 1 as slightly disruptive, and as you go up in group number, they become more disruptive and even dangerous as you get to group 6. So this here shows, and now keeping in mind that there have been some barriers to accurate data, which I'll discuss, but we looked at data that goes back to the 2017-2018 school year. The majority of our infractions are those slightly disruptive infractions, followed by that group 2 somewhat disruptive. And then what we want to see here is 0 to very few groups 4, 5, and 6. I say that there's barriers to this data because, as we know, the 2019-2020 school year was disrupted by teacher strike and as well as the pandemic. And then, of course, this school year, we've been mostly remote, so we've had a lot less behavioral infractions. So we took that into account when we developed this safety plan. We saw that the data at Foreman showed the following as being our most common infractions. We noticed that the majority of our behavioral infractions, or the reasons why students are being taken away from their learning, is in regards to leaving without permission, not being in class, or any attendance-related issue, When we say technology violations, that may include like cell phone violations or social media. We have student contraband as an issue, altercations that are minor, not necessarily a group 5 or 6 altercation, but maybe just an argument, verbal or lightly physical. And then defiance of authority, just in general, not complying to teachers' orders. So our safety plan is set to prioritize these 3 main umbrellas. First and foremost is always going to be physical safety. The school has to be physically safe in order for students to feel comfortable here, and then of course to learn. And so when it comes to physical safety, we really focused on that number 1 infraction is students leaving or not being in the physical space that they should be. Second most important, emotional safety, right? We know that this has been a challenging year for many reasons. And so we've really been intentional about the way that we help our students develop social emotional learning skills, which include coping skills, anger management, working through a conflict with a peer. And then of course, relational trust. So relational trust is kind of the foundation to all safety plans. The student needs to trust that the adults in the building are there to support, and student-to-student support is important as well when we think about relational trust. And so the last I'm going to talk about before I hand it over to Dr. Lopez is how our safety plan sets out to address these priorities. So first and foremost, we emphasize here at Foreman restorative practices. Dr. Lopez is going to go into more detail, but restorative justice and restorative practices are all about removing that punishment from the infraction and focusing on why the behavior occurred and how can I resolve the root of the behavior or get to the cause of the problem. So we've eliminated our use of in-school suspensions, and instead our students complete reflections when they've made a wrong decision to engage in a behavior that they should not have. So Dr. Lopez, as the culture and climate interventionalist, she works closely with students to complete these reflections and really think about why this behavior became an issue in the first place. Third, we're offering a seminar class to all grade levels. And in this seminar class, there's explicit instruction on how to deal with anger. How do I address my emotions? How do I not let them get the better of me? How do I not act impulsively? So we're being very intentional about how we teach our students to respond to the issues that arise. Fourth, our Pride campaign. Pride stands for peace, respect, integrity, discipline, and excellence. And it is our way of really promoting positive behaviors so that we're not always focused on the negative behavior, but instead we want to give more attention and more reward to the positive behaviors. Last, we've developed a student leadership summit, and this student leadership summit as a long-term goal is to help develop students' ability and their aptitude towards peer mediation. We want to get to a place at Foreman where our students can help one another through the conflicts that they're having peer to peer. And now I'll hand it over to Dr. Lopez, who's going to talk in more detail about SROs.
Thank you, Ms. Zaki. So it has become a mandate in CPS where yearly we will be reviewing the need for our SROs. SROs stand for our school resource officers, who are usually Chicago Police Department personnel working in the schools. Last year, it was determined by the data that we were to retain our SROs, but given the current situation this year with remote learning, there really was no need to retain our SROs throughout this school year. So now we have the decision before us as to whether or not we are going to keep them for the 21-22 academic year. As part of the safety committee's commitment, we decided to really dive into data to determine whether we should host a series of surveys to get the opinion of the school community as a whole in order to determine whether SROs would be of benefit for Foreman in our safety planning, or whether or not we would choose a different route. So we got our data through the surveys that we have conducted. We did post and send out through Aspen via email a survey for open to staff, faculty, students, parents, just getting opinions as to their thoughts on SROs and whether SROs would be a benefit or not. And we created a QR code, and all of that is linked here in this slide, where the person can just use their phone to scan the QR code and access the survey. And we also got a student safety feedback survey that students conducted and completed in their seminar classes. Would you mind going to the next slide, Ms. Saki? All right, so what the data showed was that 88.3% of the respondents, we did have about 128 respondents on the survey, are in favor of retaining our SROs for the 21-22 academic school year. We did not have as much community response and parent response as we would like. We only had about 2.5% in each of those categories. The majority of responses, 80.2%, actually came from students, and about 14.8% were either teacher or staff members within the building. So because 88.3% did vote in favor of keeping our SROs, the data does show that there is a need or concern for retaining our SROs for next year. You can go to the next slide. And so who are the SROs that we are speaking of? We have currently been working with a Mr. John Bauer and a Ms. Kathy Nowakowski. They have been the SROs that served us mainly in the 1920 academic school year, but then, of course, COVID happened and we transitioned into the remote world. This year, they have been visiting the building, just checking in to see what CPS would determine their role would be for this year. They have not been retained for this year, but they are interested in continuing with us next year. So why keep our SROs? If you don't mind going back, Ms. Becky. So we have a female and a male SRO, which would be a benefit in the building just to make sure that there is representation across the gender lines. Having two SROs also allows for more CPD presence in the building if needed. They are of great benefit for situations where it may require police presence. Those are mainly like our group 4, 5, and 6 infractions. But they're also willing to work with our levels 1, 2, and 3 infractions, kind of helping lead workshops and supporting more of our social emotional learning and our restorative practices in the building. And having both of them present can be a benefit in the sense of they can split their roles, they can share some of the responsibilities in working in those different capacities, joining different school committees, and kind of building relationships with the students in a more positive light versus a negative. The next slide, please. So what the culture and climate team or school safety team has determined based off the data that we recommend retaining both of our SROs for the 21-22 school year and kind of putting them in conjunction with our safety plan priorities that we targeted. And we would like to put that vote up before the LSC. Thank you for your time.
So I'd like to move in I'd like to move to put this up for a vote. The vote was for the LSC to vote for, well, we would need to vote for 2, so I'll do 2 motions. One would be to approve the safety plan, so I move to approve the safety plan, number 1.
I second it.
All of those in favor say aye or type aye into the chat.
Aye.
McCann, aye.
Mr. Flores, there's a motion on the floor to approve the safety plan. Are you in favor? Mr. Flores?
Yes, I am. Aye.
Okay. Mr. Flores says aye. And then there was another motion on the floor to, or there's a I move to continue with the recommendation of moving forward with our 2 SROs in the building as recommended by the safety committee. I would need someone to second it.
I second the motion.
All of those in favor say aye.
Mrs. Woods, aye.
Mr. Flores, there's a motion on the floor to retain the 2 SROs, the school resource officers, for next school year and to interweave them as part of our safety plan. Are you in favor of it?
So I want to know, I'm kind of on the fence about it. How, like, one of the questions that I have is, like, how often do these officers change? It's one of the things that I want to know. How long do they stay in the school? What are, like, some long-term effects that are there any known of, like, long-term effects of having these officers there? I just bring this up because I wonder about how students are affected if just pretty much
With the cases that we have seen in police brutality, are you concerned with the cases that we have had?
Where are these infractions coming from when they need to be the officers come in hand? And then just again, how long are these officers kept in school for, and do they change the officers or?
So the first question that he was asking is, how often do the officers change if we move forward with them? They go through an interview process. The safety committee did interview the candidates and contact the candidates that submitted resumes. Out of the 4, Kathy and John continued to be interested in serving. The other 2 candidates ended up stepping out and not interested in serving as SROs. There were only 4 applicants. We did interview them, and from my understanding right now is that we interview them year to year to make sure that the school is interested in continuing the relationship with the SROs that they have chosen. Now, there was another question that he had asked about, long-term effects. Can you clarify your question, Mr. Flores?
Well, kind of just my thought was, like, how are these, I believe that it was mentioned, like, how are these, what infractions bring these officers into the school? There was, like, a scale of infractions. Just if I could get a little bit more, I didn't really catch that. Just I want to know how the officers interact with these students and what kind of infractions get them in there with the students.
Sure. Well, I can tell you a little bit about how we've used them in the past and what their interest continues to be as SROs in the school building. One is that they're not used as security officers. So if there's a student that is committing an infraction, like having their hoodie on or their head down in class, we don't send the school resource officers into the classroom to pull the student out for these types of infractions. They're used for infractions where students may be committing a crime or there's crisis intervention needed. And so the school resource officers are trained with crisis intervention management so that they can support in those times. That's just to give you some examples. But the idea is with the safety plan that's being proposed is that they have more of a purpose within our safety plan, rather than sort of wandering the halls looking like police officers. They're actually playing more of an active role that is managed and dictated by the school and this safety plan. And so if we have this strong push around restorative practices, which again prioritizes restoring the learning opportunity for students, the SROs would be playing a role in that. SROs would be then pulled to do other things that Ms. Zaki highlighted as our priorities in terms of providing training around these things for our students, and again, not being used as what we would normally consider a security guard's role as being.
Mr. Simmons, you can
How
On,
long are these officers in the school? Like every day?
Yes, the school resource officers would be sent to our school daily as employees at the school.
Okay. All right. I approve. I like the plan. And it seems like the safety plan is some training and accountability for that. I agree.
Okay, Dr. Lopez, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to give an example. We have in the past used our school resource officers to conduct workshops when a situation among students might be possibly arriving, and they would kind of come in and bring that preventative measure before something would escalate, so that it wouldn't require, police presence in a negative way or involvement in a legal way. It would be more of like, hey, let's have a workshop. Let's talk these things out. What's the correct way to interact on social media? What's the correct way to handle conflict? Those kind of like workshops and trainings for students. And they've been very open about having those kind of opportunities with the students and the staff.
Thank you. And I don't know, Mr. Flores ended up saying he approved and said aye, but I'm not sure if we ended up getting everybody's vote heard, Mr. Asensio.
I was just saying that first of all, if anyone is taking notes from the chat, there is a mistake that I did. I put myself as the seconding the motion for the first motion for the approval of the plan for safety. It was Ms. Woods who seconded the motion. My voice was interjecting with her. It should be noted that it's her second, not Mr. Asensio. And the second thing is that the experiences that we have had in the past, and I am speaking from the point of view of the teacher, is that it is SROs, in my experience, have always been like the big brother in the school. Yes, they have intervened as guidance to many situations in the building, but also they have also created a kind of like a rapport with the students where they can consult with the police in a very open way about things that are concern of the students. So that's what I've seen, what I've witnessed. And I know that there are some concerns in the community in terms of officers, not behaving the way they're supposed to. These two SROs that have been with us for the last 3 years or 2 years have been very diligent with us and with the students, which is very important to point out.
I'm just not sure if everybody had an opportunity to vote yay or nay for the motion.
This is Mary McCann. I really appreciated the questions that Mr. Israel raised, and based on those explanations, I also vote yes.
Sabrina Woods, yes.
Ms. Malhas, you voted for both or one?
Yes, I voted for both.
Okay. Anwar, you voted for both?
Yes, I voted for both in the chat.
Okay, good. So, do we have the votes, Mr. Escamilla?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. So the motion for approving the safety plan for our school for the next school year of 2021-22 has been approved, and the motion to keep our SROs in the building as part of the security plan has also been approved by the faculty and the LSC. I'm sorry, for the LSC. Next item in the agenda.
So the next item in the agenda is letter C here.
Yeah.
This is just where we open up the floor to the local school council members for their input and ideas. And I know, Mr. Flores, you had an interest to share an initial idea with not only the local school council. We have had the opportunity to get some input from the LSC, but we also invited Angel Vega, and I'm not sure if Mr. Vega is on the call as representing the 31st Ward and Alderman Felix Cardona's office. Were you able to join the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great, thank you. And what I'll do is, Mr. Flores, if you want to take the floor, or if you, because you are on the call via your phone, I'm not sure how you'd like to proceed with this.
So my connection is cutting in and out. I'm not sure if people are able to hear me right now. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, and I'm not, but I'm not sure if the LSC, can you guys hear Mr. Flores when he speaks?
I can hear him loud and clear.
Okay, so yeah, I would like to go ahead and just let the community some of the things that we've been talking about.
Okay, would you like me to show that initial screen that we've been working on?
Yeah, if you could pull up the planning document,
okay.
The one that we were putting our ideas on.
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, it is on the screen.
Okay, so we were talking about figuring out ways to improve Foreman. One of the things that came up to me as we toured the school is its outdoor field, and we were just throwing ideas of how we can get it improved. So we just came up with a goal, renovating our students' outdoor sports field with bleachers, seatings, and renovate our student locker rooms to facilitate a fully active physical education program and provide our athletic program fully functional facilities. So as we took a look around the school, we've seen how the field needed work in multiple areas, and then looking into the locker room, we've seen how it was outdated, and we just talked about where can we find support to get this renovated, and then we just opened up a document. We invited people to come in and throw out some ideas. So some of the ideas that we were pushing for is the biggest action was having the alderman part of the table with the local school council when we can figure out how we can get these actions met and our goal realized. So we just trying to make a connection with the alderman. That's why we invited him today, and we got his representative. So it's just some ideas. People could take a look through them. One of the things that stood out to me is just getting a survey for the students, the family, the community, and just let the alderman know how the students are in need of this field, how neglected for multiple years. Speaking with Mr. Asensio, he brought up some of the history that has with the field of its old renovation that lacked in many aspects. So we're just trying to find the best way to go about reaching our goal, and hopefully we can get some assistance from the alderman with input of the community. That's pretty much where we at. We have some actions that we want to share with the community, with the alderman, to find the best way to go through those actions. And anything else you would like to add, Mr. Scamilla?
Yeah, sure. So again, to emphasize, we wanted to invite the alderman today, and or a representative from his office. So I'd like to thank Angel Vega for stopping by. And it's really to just extend a seat at the table to help us, seeing that Foreman is a neighborhood high school within the 31st Ward, and knowing that if you nurture your neighborhood high school, it ends up continuing to feed into the benefits into the community. And so we just want the alderman to have a seat at our table as we brainstorm how to make this happen. Where I think in having our initial conversations with Mr. Asensio, Mr. Flores, we're all realists. We know that no one's going to snap their fingers and make it happen overnight, and that it takes planning and hard work, which I think I'm very humbled by our LSC's interest in helping make this happen. We also have another community rep who is interested in the improvements at Foreman, and we just like to make sure that our alderman is aware and that we can plan future meetings that don't have to just live within local school council meetings, but other meetings that can get the ball rolling. And we just wanted to communicate that.
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, the alderman, as I left the office today, had a Zoom meeting that he was attending, and then the chief of staff was attending another Zoom meeting. So we kind of divide and conquered, if you will. The alderman is definitely pro-school. He's definitely very involved, or at least tries to be as much as he can with the schools, which is why he had me attend this meeting. I handle the schools for the most part for the alderman, but obviously the big decisions and the big requests need to go through him. So what I would like to do is offer my email for any of the LSC or the gentleman who spoke prior to me, so that they can email me, and then I can get those emails to the alderman as far as what you see happening or what you see being unpacked as far as the need for the school. I know the alderman has had a couple conversations already regarding that, and obviously he will do what he can, because a successful school, as you said, brings success to the community. And so I'm going to give my email. It's my first name, Angel, ANGEL, dot Vega, V like Victor, EGA, at cityofchicago.org. Angel.Vega at cityofchicago.org. And if anyone in the LSC or anyone there lives in the ward, by all means, keep my email, and you can email me any city services that you may need. And if I handle them, I'll be more than happy to take care of them. If not, I'll pass them on to the other staff that handle different aspects of the ward. But feel free to send me an email, or if you have any questions. I will say that we are having a COVID vaccine event this Saturday at Kelvin Park. We're going to be outside by the basketball courts. and it's the Pfizer. And as you know, the Pfizer just got approved for 12 and over, 12 to 15. And we'll be doing that. And if anyone has a question regarding the second vaccine, you can get it there that day, but you'll need to bring your CDC card, no exceptions, showing when you got your first vaccine. So that event set aside, I come back to Foreman and the plans that Foreman has to improve the school. The alderman is definitely on board and will do what he can. Obviously, I can't make any commitments for him, but I know how he feels about his schools and he loves them.
Thank you. Thank you for the time. Yeah, and we'll add the both of you to the document, to the initial brainstorm, to share our initial
Absolutely.
ideas, and then we'll make sure we plan some future meetings to continue the conversation. But we wanted to make sure that the alderman's has a seat at the table moving forward, and so that was that part of the conversation. And then so now I'll continue to open up the floor if anyone else had any input. If not, we can move on to the reports.
Is there anyone else who wants to participate, public participation? Oh,
well,
sorry.
This is LSC participation. Right
LSC participation, I'm sorry. I'm like I said, I'm going blind. Okay. So the first is the report for the chair from the chairperson. At this point, nothing is reported from the chair. The chair unfortunately has resigned. Big loss for the team, but nonetheless, we should move forward and keep on looking for other people who want to have the opportunity to offer their talents and expertise in helping us move the school forward. Principal's report.
Yes, and thank you for that. And I will, just as part of my principal report, I do want to mention that we will be voting because she recently made this news of about stepping back from the chairperson role. We will be voting on a parent chairperson for our next meeting so that it can be on our next agenda. But I did want to put it out there to plant the seed for those parents who are active participants. We would love for you to step up into that chairperson role moving forward and at this after we put it up for a vote in our next meeting. But thank you for handing it over. I'm going to go to my other screen here. I do want to present the budget so that we can motion and vote the budget through, and also our regular internal accounts and transfers that I sent via your email. So let me close this here. So this is our school year 21-22 school budget presentation. Again, my name is Anthony Escamilla. I'm the principal here at Foreman College and Career Academy. So I welcome you all to our presentation of the budget. Our CIWP has always and will continue to remain that North Star that we continue to that continues to guide us in our planning, our decision making, and our budgeting. So just to sort of summarize our strategies, our priorities in our continuous individualized work plan, which is what CIWP stands for, I do want to talk a little bit about these priorities that we have. So one of them here, strategy one, is that we believe that if we have a focus around instruction, specifically differentiation, which we've been talking about all year now after establishing our CIWP last year, we believe that it's going to make a greater impact not only on our teaching community and their practices, but an overall impact and student achievement. And so what we've been trying to do is preach the 3 Ps and the 1 E, to make it easier to remember and to simplify differentiation. When we often think about differentiation, we think of like a million strategies, but we say differentiation means 3 P's plus 1 E here, and that stands for presentation, process, product, plus environment. If we differentiate in those 4 areas, we are practicing well-rounded differentiation practices. Our strategy number 2 focuses on our multi-tiered system of support interventions systems, which are guided by our MTSS team, a very savvy team of teachers, clinicians, and counselors at our school that help establish, and administration, of course, that help establish systems to help intervene with students at key moments to provide support where they need them. Sometimes students need very little support, which comes easy and part of our regular day-to-day curriculum. And sometimes they need more specific support that lives outside of their daily curriculum that may come through tutoring or clinical support. And so what we want to do is prioritize on that level of intervention so that we can support our students in a very well-rounded way, documenting things and also keeping track of the effectiveness of our interventions so that if something's working, we continue to use it. If it's not working, then we can try a different intervention to make sure students are successful. And strategy 3 focuses on student engagement, specifically empowering students through student voice, and also empowering students through this idea of culturally responsive teaching, making sure that what we're doing is creating opportunities for our students that have them transferring what they learn in their classrooms to solving real world problems, something that's applicable immediately that can make an impact on their immediate cultures. These are our 3 priorities in our CIWP in a nutshell. So our current status overview. This is just sort of an overall summary of the details that you're about to look at. CPS had looked at our school year 21 20th day enrollment data, and they did look at and consider enrollment data going back to 2017 to give us a bit of a cushion moving forward for our next year's budget. And so we did end up with a 20th day total number of 604 students here at Foreman. And what the district ended up doing, again, to take into account these past couple tumultuous years because of the pandemic, and gave us a cushion of 45 students, which they're counting as our enrollment moving forward, as our 20th day enrollment moving forward for next school year. They did notify us through their calculations that we would be losing a FCCA, and their calculations are done by looking at the need here. This does not mean that because we lost a FCCA that we can't continue to gain FCCAs in the near future as we get to know our needs of our incoming freshman class. This may change, but up to this point, we are losing a FCCA position. We are anticipating additional impacts right now of as much as 4 teaching positions and 1 ESP position. But we say anticipate because, again, although we are trying to do the math and calculate things as much as possible at the school level, it really all is processed and determined at the CPS talent level through the formulas that they follow. Operational funds will be tight because, again, what you'll see in upcoming slides, our enrollment is decreasing. And with less enrollment comes less funds. So we try to take full advantage of the grants that we apply to and are awarded to support our students. And we're also hoping that in the future, CPS promotes and allows for rental opportunities again, because we did have good, long-lasting relationships with key community people that would also rent our facilities here and would end up benefiting our school greatly. thank you for that, Ms. Malhas. I will try to translate as much as I can. Thank you for that reminder. As soon as I am completed, unless Mr. Asensio, if you want, I can also pause, and if you want to help translate portions of this to Mr. San Gabriel. You're on mute, by the way. But I can finish, and if you want to sort of sum up at the end.
Exactly.
So our internal accounts also can be reconsidered to support any deficit areas that may arise. I think it's going to be realistic for this body, our local school council, to consider. I think it should be a requirement that we consider raising our student fees, as we probably have the lowest in all of CPS at $120. Schools comparable to ours, and schools that used to be continue to grow and flourish, do have fees that are a lot higher than ours. And so we should be considering that moving forward. As always, we must continue to keep students and our goals as the focus in all of our decision making. I did make a petition and apply towards a position that was described to me as continuing to serve our restorative justice practices at the school through issuing us a librarian. And they reviewed our school, and they reviewed my ask, and they did issue us a centrally funded librarian position. So this is a good thing because it's not coming out of our budget, and the librarian will not only help us manage our library, but also the position is designed to be heavy on the restorative justice practices that we're trying to establish here as a school, and rethinking and revamping that library for us. I am requesting for a full-time business management position to support all of our school budgeting procedures. I think what the last couple of years has shown me is that we are in great need, although I had a lot of support from our clerical staff here in our main office, and a retired business manager that I had hired as a consultant. There's still a need for a full-time business manager at the school. I'd like to maybe just get Miss Woods, who's been heavily helping me through this process, just sort of share the great need for a business manager.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sabrina Woods, the school clerk at Foreman College and Career Academy. I've been there for the last 28 years. Yes, I'm in support of Mr. Escamilla in asking the LSC to, back us up and support us in trying to obtain a full-time position for a business manager, someone who can take real good looks at our budget on a daily basis, just to make sure that the funds, we are funded, and all of our money is being put to use, being put to good use for our students. To continue to move forward at Foreman. We want to make sure that they're benefiting from all of our grants and funds that we have available for them. If it's to purchase Chromebooks, or if it's to purchase some type of technology, or whatever needs our students are in need of, we would like that business manager to focus on those needs, try to get the necessities that our school needs, resources that our students needs, that our staff need in their classrooms. And we just want to make sure that the money is being used correctly. So I think that it's very important that we have someone there every day on a daily basis to support us in this task. Over the last year and a half, as long as Mr. Escamilla has been there, I have been attempting, again, I'll repeat that, I have been attempting to fill that position as much as I can. It's been a learning process. It has taken me out of my comfort zone, but it still has been good. I like the exposure. We've had Debbie Alonji as many of our staff members know her, who was there for a long time, who was our consultant, and she has been extremely helpful and has taught Mr. Escamilla and I a lot, and have guided us through this journey. But again, she is retired, and I think she wants to stay retired. But she did come out of retirement to assist. She loves Foreman. Foreman is her heart. She's in the community, and she wants to see her school succeed. So we have been working hard. We have been brainstorming. We have been emailing back and forth over weekends and so forth, just to do what needs to be done. But we are pleading to our local school council and community, and if you all would just support us on this position of a business manager. I don't plan on going anywhere. We will still be working hand in hand, and I'll support the business manager as much as I can, and I'm sure she'll support me. But I just think it's a great need for our school to continue to be successful and to move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Ms. Woods, for your work. And Ms. Woods has her responsibilities that she constantly has to step away from to support in this area. So a lot of her support was in addition to her already full plate, and I appreciate her support during this time. To continue to inform you on the overall current status overview of our school, we are reactivating a CTE program that I worked with CTE downtown to keep frozen as a teacher who previously taught digital media here, took a position outside of the district, and I worked with CTE to keep it frozen, and they've been graciously keeping it on ice for me, and we have come to an opportunity where one of our this part is not the opportunity, but it's sort of a bittersweet solution here. One of our art teachers is retiring, and he primarily covers our general art classes. So I figured this would be a great opportunity to try to find that needle in the haystack, someone that may have both art endorsements and digital media endorsements, so that we can serve our general arts needs and also fulfill or fill that digital media need that also draws enrollment, draws interest to our school. And so we're working with CTE to reactivate digital media here. We are anticipating one teaching position that is also centrally funded, that is only 1 year, is only issued to us for 1 year, to address class size support. And so that position will be given to us for next school year. But again, it's a 1-year position, but it may just help us, and it may just be that silver lining that may help us fill that one teaching position to address any type of class need or class size need. How will we address potential impacts? Well, one of the things I will continue to do is work with our programmer, work with our data to make sure that our student need for classes and graduation requirements are met, and that I can continue to advocate for any positions that I can argue for based on our continued enrollment. And so again, we look towards the future as we welcome this freshman class, and we hope that some of the legwork that we've done thus far this school year in advertising our school and reaching out to our feeder schools, that we continue to fulfill the need of our students and their graduation requirements, and perhaps I can then turn around and lobby for additional positions that may have been impacted because of the budget. We will not stop advertising Foreman as a neighborhood high school option to our students, so that they do not consider leaving the community, leaving their neighborhood, and actually considering us as a viable option. So again, I did mention that generally the district starts to look at our enrollment data on the 10th and 20th day of the start of the school year. And these are the times where I can continue to advocate on behalf of the school for our student needs and making sure that we're fulfilling all student needs based on the positions that we require. We will continue to hold steadfast to our CIWP priorities as our North Star and support teachers with curriculum planning. Because again, if we focus on our priorities, if we don't lose focus on those priorities and we continue to support our curriculum planning here at the school, we're going to see the student achievement data continue to go up. And of course, our school report card is accessible to all stakeholders, to all community members who are considering Foreman as an option. And if we focus on this, more and more families will consider us as and not leave their neighborhood to stay and remain at Foreman because we will be providing them with a quality product. To go a little bit deeper into the funds, oh, I'm sorry, I want to go back to Mr. Asensio, if you can share a little bit of this for our parent who is on the call, Mr. San Gabriel. You're on mute.
Señor San Gabriel, buenas tardes, ¿cómo está? Señor San Gabriel. Señor San Gabriel, ¿está disponible?
Sí, bueno, ¿sí?
Sí, no, quería hacerle un resumen sobre lo que acaba de decir el director de la escuela sobre el presupuesto de la escuela. Para el año académico del 2021, la matrícula del 20º día de clases fue de 117 estudiantes. En comparación con, si unimos esto con los 604 estudiantes que habían, a más 45, eso nos da un total de 649. Este año, que comenzamos en septiembre, Dios mediante, o en agosto, vamos a perder una posición de FCC-A. Estos son el personal que atiende a los estudiantes de aprendizaje diverso. Vamos a perderla por falta de presupuesto. Vamos a tener un impacto anticipado de la pérdida de 4 posiciones de profesores y una pérdida de personal adjunto. El proceso de determinación de esta pérdida de estos puestos de trabajo viene directamente de la oficina de talento de la escuela, de la Junta de Educación en el centro de la ciudad. Nosotros vamos a estar lidiando con un presupuesto bastante ajustado que vamos a suplementar con las diferentes becas que vamos a recibir para apoyar a los estudiantes esperando poder rentar la escuela en diferentes formas para sacar dinero y fondos para la escuela y utilizarlo para cubrir esa falta de fondos. Como siempre, nosotros continuamos manteniendo a los estudiantes y a las metas que nos hemos enfocado en consideración. Eso quiere decir que el enfoque de nosotros va a continuar siendo por el bien del estudiantado y que las metas están enfocadas precisamente a eso. El director acaba de solicitar a la Junta una posición de bibliotecario para la escuela, porque hace unos cuantos años que no tenemos bibliotecario, pero en esta ocasión el bibliotecario va a ser el presupuesto para la posición de bibliotecario no va a salir del presupuesto de la escuela, sino de la Junta directamente. Lo bueno de esta posición es que nosotros, no solamente la persona que sea bibliotecario de la escuela va a fungir como bibliotecario de la escuela, sino que también va a ser la persona que implemente o que continúe las prácticas de justicia restaurativa avanzada en la escuela para tratar de cambiar el comportamiento de los estudiantes y ayudar a subsanar la falta de comportamiento y alguno que otro conflicto que haya entre el estudiantado. Estamos solicitando además la posición para tener una persona que maneje los negocios de la escuela, porque llevamos ya 3 años trabajando con el apoyo de la señorita Woods, que es una de las personas que se encarga del manejo de la oficina del director. Ella ha fungido como la persona encargada de asesorar al director para poder mantener las cuentas al día y tratar de buscar y organizar los fondos de la escuela, de manera que todas las cuentas sean pagadas a tiempo y que todas las cuentas estén claras. Esta posición es necesaria precisamente porque teniendo una persona dedicada a ese trabajo solamente a cumplir con la función del manejo de las cuentas de la escuela, nos da solo la oportunidad de tener día a día un reporte de las cuentas al día y podemos entonces entender dónde van los diferentes fondos y cómo se gastan estos diferentes fondos a través de todo el presupuesto de la escuela. El director también acaba de solicitar la reactivación de una posición muy importante en la escuela, puesto que esta posición nos va a dar una posibilidad a nosotros aquí en la escuela de poder mercadear la escuela mejor a través de todo el público del local y de las áreas adyacentes. Es una posición de enseñanza de educación para carreras con un enfoque en desarrollo de medios digitales y también en que la misma persona pueda dar clases de arte. Estamos perdiendo un profesor de arte que se retira este año y al haber esa falta queremos, como quien dice en lenguaje popular, matar 2 pájaros de un tiro. Tratando de conseguir una persona que se encargue de enseñar la educación de carreras y que en términos de medios digitales y la posición de arte. Aparte de eso, solicitamos y fuimos aprobados para tener una posición de enseñanza para tratar de abordar el problema del tamaño de las clases. Esta posición va a ser solamente programada para 1 año. El presupuesto está presupuestada para durar 1 solo año. Después de ese año la van a eliminar, pero es necesaria tenerla en el presupuesto.
Okay.
Eso básicamente es un resumen de lo que el profesor, el director de la escuela ha dicho sobre el presupuesto.
And now I'm just going to go into a bit of the details. I am sharing this presentation, and again, this is also being recorded for any future reference, but I will send you everybody the slideshow on the LSC so that you can have direct access to this as well. But we have funds that are sometimes referred to as 115 local funds. These are funds that are provided by the district, and property taxes. There are 115 supplemental aid funds. These are state funds that are provided to the school for funding. And then there's federal government, also known as 332 funds or Title I funds that also help provide money to our budget. And so another breakdown would be, in addition to this, is our Title I PAC funds and BAC, which also is federal money but considered Title III funds. These are all things that contribute to our budgeting for school years. Some of the things that we do not have control over are funding for custodial services, engineering, food service, magnet cluster, preschool, bilingual, foundational positions like the principal, clerk, and one counselor position, and diverse learner services. These are all out of our budget control. So again, to take a look at our 20th day data, this past school year, we had 117 ninth graders, 180 10th graders, and you see the rest 144 11th and 163 seniors. Sort of the general unwritten practice is that the classes that you have coming in at the 9th grade, you always ideally you hope to have larger than your senior class going out. So as you can tell, we have if we just consider basic math, if we have 163 seniors going out because of graduating, we want to be bringing in more than 163 freshmen the following school year. So here I wanted to point out the cushion, if you will, that the adjustment that CPS is considering, knowing that we've been living through 2 years of a pandemic. And by looking at as far back as 2017 20th day data, they provided us with a cushion of 45 students. So they based this budget moving forward on a total enrollment of 649. So on the bottom is more like real-time data. Like if we were to look at dashboard and look back and look at our current data, we currently have, as of today, 583 students enrolled at Foreman. So this is real-time data. So as you can see, we need to put a stop to this and help turn things around to increase enrollment and make sure that our community knows of all the great things that are taking place here. So this paints the picture of the overall funding sources. So as you can tell here on the left-hand side, you have your student-based budgeting, your supplemental aid that I was talking about, your Title I discretionary funds, your Title I parent involvement funds, and you have an idea of what was provided during fiscal year or school year 21 and what's being provided for our upcoming school year. And when you see things in parentheses, those are the negatives. So you see that the change has been a negative change overall impacting our budget. And so you see the difference there of $162,878. So again, these are some centrally funded positions. And what you see here are our foundational positions are 3. That again is the principal, clerk, and counselor. That doesn't change. So there you'll see a 0 all the way at the end, that nothing has changed in our foundational positions. Special education positions. These are our regular special education positions. We have 13 based on the formula that the Office of Diverse Learners follows. We have 13 this year. We're going to continue to have 13 next year. So there's no change. Here you see the difference between this year and next year. They lessened the number of FCCAs that we would need by 1. And so it's identified here. Nothing else changes. So our special education cluster program remains the same with two cluster teachers. We also are given 4 cluster FCCAs in our cluster program. That doesn't change. Our ESL special education position that is issued to us for our ELDLs hasn't changed. We will still remain with 1. And you got to excuse me, I'm going to drink a little bit of water. Our ELPT position is also funded. That is not changing. Our 1 position for case manager is not changing. Our 4 positions for our JOTC program, excuse me, are not changing. We were issued 4, although we right now, the program only requires 3. That is not changing. We've had 4 this year. We're going to remain with 4 next year. And our lunchroom positions are not changing. To dig in a little bit deeper into student-based budgeting, here we see a breakdown of how they fund our general population, 9th grade through 12th grade, and then our least restrictive environment. These are our different special education students. Overall, the student-based budgeting has increased from this year by 3%. So the way they calculate student-based budgeting has seen an increase of 3% overall, but we still see a difference here of what was allocated last year of over $4 million and what's being allocated for next year, which is slightly less than 3 million. Or I'm sorry, slightly less than 4 million, which is around 3,973,000. Here we see the difference between our supplemental aid. Again, this is our state funding. And we see here up top the free and reduced meals, and how last year we were identifying that 91.8% of our student population qualified for free and reduced meals. This year it was 89.46. So this can be a combination of variables to consider. One is that we had less students submitting their family financial forms this year because of COVID and getting over that hump of doing everything electronically. But also it may just show an indication that, this is the more unlikely one, but that people are making more money around our community. But you see the hit that we also took here in supplemental aid. Then we see here our Title I funding. So at the very top, again, you see the decrease in our Title I funding overall, but you will also see the Parent Advisory Council, our PAC funding at the bottom, which this year our PAC funding provided $4,994 to our PAC parent organization to utilize as a parent organization. And next year they will see a decrease of $4,089. Again, this is pertaining to the funding for our EL department. We have our one ELPT that's completely funded by our based on the number of students enrolled that are English language learners at Foreman. And then they also provide a stipend to the ELPT who has to organize testing, track English language proficiency, and provide support to our staff and teachers here. So they provide her with a stipend throughout the school year. And then they also provide our bilingual parent organization, our bilingual advisory committee, $1,000 that goes towards them and nurturing that parent organization as well throughout the school year. This points to more detailed data around our students identified special education students through their IEPs, and how the breakdown of that data, our enrollment, the student need plays an impact on our school and our school budget. So again, pointing again, some of the information that's been repeated, we have a need this year of 13 special education teachers. Next year, that doesn't change. We still have that need of 13 special education teachers to impact our students with diverse learner needs. This is money that will be coming to us from the Illinois Empower Grant that I had applied towards previously. I'm going to again apply towards it again for next school year, because there's $65,000 in planning for this grant that I do not want to leave on the table. And so by applying towards it and creating a plan on how to use those $65,000, they issue those to the school. I do this. I've been doing this for the last couple of years, knowing about this opportunity for the grant, and I'm going to continue to throw our hat in the ring to make sure that we don't lose this funding. Also, from this Illinois Empower Grant, in the way I wrote it up the last time, I did create a summer bucket to continue to help our students and with our enrichment program, our leadership program that Ms. Zaki and Dr. Lopez spoke about in the safety plan. And we're going to continue to grant that or support that bucket moving forward into the summer. This bucket is part of our budget that remains open for positions that we typically need year to year. In this one bucket, it's called the Fund 124. This is where we fund our custodians that work special programs. So Barbara Price and Felix Bonafé, who are our custodians here, often supported our additional programs like our partnership through the Polish Alliance and adult EL classes here, or our summer rental of the gyms with our soccer league organization that we partner up with for rentals. And so we utilize their services, and this bucket ends up paying for their services in support of those continued programs. And we, again, look forward to CPS giving us the green light to approve rentals moving forward in the near future. Right now, I just wanted to open up to any questions that you may have. And if there are no questions, I'd like to move to get the budget acknowledged and approved by our LSC.
Before we continue, I just wanted to ask, now that we have the auditorium restored and refurbished the way it is, which looks wonderful, whatever happened to the church that used to rent it for services on Wednesdays? Did we lose that contract, or is the board no longer allowing us to rent it to anyone else?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do not know. I wasn't here during the rental of the church. I do not know what happened with that partnership.
Ms. Woods, are you aware of that?
I am on the line. Mr. Asensio, I believe they was just renting our auditorium out to hold church services until they were able to move into their actual church. So I think they have their own church home now, so they no longer have to use our services. And I don't have, for Mr. Escamilla, I don't have a question. I just have a, I guess, a comment. I'm just overjoyed to hear that Foreman will finally have a librarian again. That's awesome for our students, for our staff, and for research. So I'm just so glad that I heard that during your report. So that is a great thing that Foreman has to look for. One great thing. I'm sure there'll be many, 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 many more as we move forward, but that was great to hear. And I guess I would like to make a motion to approve this budget.
And I'll second. Can I? The motion has been proposed to approve the budget for academic year 21-22 for Foreman High School, proposed by Mr. Escamilla and the administration team. Ms. Woods has made a motion to approve. I second. Mr. Asensio seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, Mary McCann.
If you want to ask Mr. San Gabriel in Spanish, Mr. Asensio.
Gabriel, acaban de hablar, de hacer una moción para aprobar el presupuesto para el año académico del 2021 al 22 y lo ha propuesto la señorita Woods y yo la he seguido de segunda. ¿Usted aprueba yeah, that's true. ¿Usted aprueba la moción?
Sí. Sí.
Okay.
Gracias.
Yeah.
Gracias. So the budget passes. Thank you very much, everybody. There are some steps that will I'll require the finalization of this through some sort of signature so that I can put it through the CPS systems. And I will have questions for Veronica offline about that documentation, but I'm sure she'll be able to help me. Excuse me. And at this time, you all on different occasions, I was able to forward you a list of our internal accounts, which you should have in your emails, and our transfers. We couldn't review them last time because we did not have quorum, and they are adding up. But just to continue to give you some clarification around those, internal accounts are just simply representative of our checking account and what is currently in there, and how what goes in and what comes out, and then also the reconciliation of it. Downtown CPS continues to monthly review those to make sure that we are balancing our basically our checking account overall, and that if there are any negative balances, that we continue to make sure that we clear those negatives. An example of clearing a negative is that if we have, for example, a great need for paying for buses, and we continue to pay for buses for our student athletic program, and we run out of money in the busing line or our athletic line, that I have to make sure that I clear that negative by pulling money from elsewhere. And thus far, what you see and what you'll notice is that we continue to pull money from our old revenue source of our soccer league rental partnership, or our adult EL classes through the Polish Alliance. And so those have been quite resourceful for us as a school to pay for things, and that's what you see in those internal accounts. And then the transfers, those are times where the budget is set and I have to continue to move money around in order to pay for things. For example, what you primarily see in a lot of those transfers is money that is moved, for example, when we are not using it for substitutes because there's less of a need during remote learning for substitutes. And then now we have to spend that money before we lose it, and I have to move it in order to make those monies available for our teachers to utilize for school and for classroom and materials. And then I would have to request those transfers. I loop in our network chief and our network offices on those transfers every step of the way, just as I have to loop you all in. And so I just ask for a motion to approve those, approve the internal account documents, and then we'll move to approve the transfers, and we're done with the budget talk.
I motion to approve the internal budget accounts, the budget transfers for the 2020 through 21 school year.
I second
the
it.
motion.
There was a
So
couple of seconds. I don't know who seconded.
It seemed like Ms. Malhas and Ms. McCann both second the motion. So all of those in favor, please type aye in the chat.
McCann, aye.
Flores, aye.
Thank you, Mr. Flores.
Aye.
If you want to explain to Mr. San Gabriel. Mr. Asensio?
Sorry, I keep forgetting. San Gabriel, acaban de hacer una propuesta, una moción para aprobar el movimiento de las cuentas internas a la cuenta general de la escuela para cubrir las cuentas en negativo para poder utilizar esos fondos para el pago de diferentes cuentas en la escuela. La señorita Wood ha hecho la moción, ha sido secundada por la señora McCann y por la señorita Malhas. ¿Usted está de acuerdo con eso?
Yes.
Okay.
Gracias. And I just want to give the last few minutes of my report to Veronica, Veronica Jackson, who's on the call, who wanted to provide us with some information on the training for principal selection for all of you.
Thank you, Principal Escamilla. Good evening, Foreman LLC. I wanted to have this moment to inform you and remind you that we need to either confirm that all of the LLC members have taken the principal selection training, which as of right now, we only have 2 members that have taken the principal selection training. So to move with the principal selection process, we will need to provide you with a training overview. So I will need the LSC to discuss a date where we can get together and we can provide you with the overview of the principal selection process, which is a requirement before the LSC can post a principal advertisement vacancy. So since our chairperson has resigned, Mr. Asensio, can I contact you with some dates that I am available? Or
yes, ma'am.
And we could come up with a time.
Okay.
We need to do this as soon as possible.
Okay.
No rushing, but I will press upon you that, you know, I have 78 schools, and out of 78 schools right now, I have 10 principal selection processes.
Wow, wow,
and
wow.
You know, that number could increase at any moment. So I want to allow you all to have this opportunity to be trained, since you all voted to go into principal selection process a couple of months ago. So if we could do that, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which days are you thinking, ma'am?
I like to keep it with the date that the day that you usually meet when everyone is available,
Okay.
if possible. If we can do, if you all can come together and see when you all are available, it seems like Tuesday is the best day for you. So maybe we could come up with a Tuesday, maybe a Thursday, I'm not sure. But I'll let you know my availability for the dates, and then we
let me take note of that.
So Ms. Wood said, how long is the overview? It depends on the LSC and the questions that they may have for the principal selection process. I do know you all have new members, so this will be new for them. So usually about 30 minutes for the overview, and then depending on questions that the LSC may have, we can go from there. So I will need at least about 30 minutes.
Available date. Can you please let me know the dates available in your schedule?
Can I reach out to you in the morning when I check my schedule?
Okay.
Yes, because the district have some initiatives that are going forward, and this week is scheduled out. So I can let you know the dates that I am free, and then we can move from there.
Okay, that sounds good. So you will be sending those tomorrow in the afternoon or morning?
It's best that I send in morning at the
Okay.
beginning of the day,
Okay.
so I will not forget. So usually between 8 and 9, I usually send my emails.
Okay. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on information coming from Mr. Escamilla and I in terms of the dates that Ms. Durden and Jackson is going to be proposing for us to meet to take the training. Ms. Malhas, we will talk about this tomorrow afternoon or Thursday afternoon when we meet for lunch to see if we can come to some consensus in the benefit of the faculty. Señor San Gabriel, está hablando la señora, estoy hablando, traduciendo en nombre de la señora Dreden Jackson, que es la persona que se encarga de coordinar los entrenamientos del Consejo Local de las Escuelas. Y ella está diciendo que por ley nosotros tenemos que tomar un entrenamiento para elegir el nuevo director de la escuela. No podemos proponer ni podemos abrir la propuesta para el puesto de director hasta tanto todos los miembros hayan sido capacitados para hacer esta elección. Está proponiendo escoger una fecha en concreto donde tengamos al menos 30 minutos para poder discutir con ella los parámetros que necesitamos tomar en consideración para hacer la publicación de la apertura de la plaza del director. Yo voy a estar conjuntamente con el señor Escamilla enviándole comunicación a todos los miembros, usted incluido, para que estén al pendiente de cuando podemos reunirnos todos en una hora que sea conveniente. Ella ha propuesto que sea el mismo día de que nosotros realmente nos reunimos para hacer la reunión del coliseo, pero las puertas están abiertas. Mañana por la mañana ella se va a encargar de enviarme a mí lo que ella tiene disponible y dependiendo de lo que ella tiene disponible, vamos a hacer la decisión de cuándo podemos hacer la propuesta. ¿Ok?
Okay.
Perfecto. So, Miss Dearden Jackson, question. Now that you mentioned about the posting of the opening of the position, that we cannot do it before the training takes place.
You can vote on it before the training takes place, but
Okay.
they will not post it until they verify that you all have received training.
Understood. So,
no, Ms. Woods, it's not too late to do training on your own, but we will need to verify it.
Yeah.
Our office have sent out emails for training registration. There is a date that is coming up Tuesday on the 25th, and I will post the link on the website for the training portal.
uh-huh.
Oh shoot, I don't have my glasses on, so I hope I.
Now you understand how I'm struggling.
So it's just a cpslsctrainingportal.com, and the LSC members can go on that and take module 6, or they can register for our training. And let me see if I can pull up the link for the May training registration, which I believe some of your LSCs have already registered. Give me one moment. I'm sorry. So I mean that could cut down some time for me, for you all waiting for me to be available, because I know with my schedule now, I will not be available until the week of the 31st. So the link for the training The training is in English and Spanish. It's May 25th, 10 o'clock a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. I'm sorry. And then you can also go on the CPS LSC training portal.com and register and take that training.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
recommend that once you all take the training, you all submit your certificates to your secretary or to your principal, and then we can confirm it.
I
So
just,
you all can choose that option, or you all could wait for a training overview with me.
I just,
I know that, I'm sorry?
I just copied the link into a Word document, and I'm going to send this tomorrow morning to every member
Okay.
so that they have it available.
Yes. So let me know, because that's the first question they asked me. Well, out of 3 questions, was the LSC trained? Did they go through the training? Did the chief approve? And did they vote on the advertisement? I
Yeah.
will need to confirm all 3.
Okay. Good. Give me
Thank
one.
you. Thank you, Veronica. Is there any additional details that you wanted to add or mention? Otherwise, I can go on to our student representative report, and I can conclude my own.
Yeah, I will also send the template and some samples for the advertisement to Mr. Asensio. Okay. And
Okay.
that's it. And may I be excused from the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to leave you all out asking for that permission to.
You have always been most helpful to our school.
Okay.
And
If there are any questions.
I know that we can count on you any day, so I know where to reach you, and many of the members know how to reach you, and we are very thankful for your help.
Okay, no worries. You all be safe and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
That concludes my report for principal report. We can move on to the next one, Mr. Asensio.
Okay, the next item will be the student rep. Ahmad, do you have anything to report from the student perspective?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Asensio. Can I share my screen?
Yes, of course. One moment. There you go, Ahmad. You're in charge now.
Okay, so considering that there is about a month left in school, I wanted to get everyone's opinions, specifically students. I wanted them to reflect off of this year. So I wanted them to reflect on their experience at Foreman this year to see what we can improve on for next year. So the first question is, what after school activity would you like Foreman to have that you would participate in next year? This applies to seniors as well, even though they won't be here next year. I wanted them to present that they would be, or if they were to have a sibling come next year, to also put their opinions. So a lot of respondents said anything sports related. I have basketball here, soccer. Now, I am aware that Foreman does have many sports teams, so that's good to hear because these students can join next year. I was surprised to see boxing as one of them. As I
Yeah.
go down, there is also cooking classes. A lot of students weren't sure of what to write. Swimming and water polo. There were a few respondents that wanted the pool to open up. It looks like they're into swimming activities, after school chorus, anything to do with music, and then here goes another baking. So just overall, oh, okay, I forgot about art as well. Now, I do know that last year in my sophomore year, we had an art after school activity connected with the La Casa program. So I did attend a few of those activities. We would just paint after school, and we can definitely bring that back for next year, hopefully, if we are in person. So yes, overall, I do see sports, art, cooking classes. Now, the next question was, if you can change one thing about our school, what would it be? Oh, I was on the wrong side. Okay, so if you can change one thing about our school, what would it be? And here are the responses. Please disregard this right here. That was when I was testing the Google form. But a lot of people are satisfied with how our school is functioning at the moment. Um, People made comments about the schedule. I'm not sure how exactly we would work that out. Like one person down here said, 10-minute break. That probably isn't the best idea. Probably a little bit more than 4 minutes, but not necessarily 10. Um, Someone also did make a comment about the football field. Now, I do know that there has been brainstorming regarding renovating the field, so that's also good to hear. Um, a lot of people mention strict rules. I don't see any strictness. Maybe it's because the phone policy or hoodies in the hallway, it seems that some people are upset about that. Um, let's see. Let's go down here. What would you like to see in person next year that we do not have now? Seniors, again, were also able to put their input on this. Um, so overall, from when I looked at this earlier, it seems that students want more art pieces in the hallways or even in the lunchrooms, maybe to just make the atmosphere something that they would enjoy and just to sit in for a while. So more student work, original artwork, handmade posters, colors outside of the school, inside of the school as well. A mixed soccer team. I did not see that. That is interesting as well. We can definitely think about that. So as you can see, the responses are like all over the place. We have some creative students here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this school year? So I am glad to say that the majority of the 46 respondents were satisfied with the school year, as they did rate it over 5. As for the grade level, more sophomores answer this, so way to go, sophomores. Now, I do want to add that the SVC and I have been brainstorming creative ways we can finish off the school year. For example, we have school party ideas, also keeping in mind of our budget as well. Now, I was not able to attend last week's SBC meeting because of my religious holiday, but I was able to catch up through Google Classroom. So it looks like they made up Pride Week during the beginning of June. So, for example, we have Monday, Superhero Day, Tuesday, Sports Day, and so on and so forth. And I will be catching up with them for this week's meeting on Thursday. But that is about it. Now, for the results in that Google form, I definitely think it's best to approach it next year when we are in person, as we are ending the school year soon. So I don't think there's much to do in regards to after school activities. So I am looking forward to approaching these issues next year. Thank you.
I like the idea of cooking and baking.
I love the initiative, Anwar. I applaud that very much. And I think what we can do is begin to brainstorm and attempt to sort of pilot some of these things perhaps over the summer, so that we can make sure that they are fully established at the start of the school year. I am brainstorming with Coach Haynes, our athletic director, ways to figure out how we can bring that pool area back to life. We have been maintaining it. We just really need to come up with a plan for it. And but I'd love to work with you more about how can we zoom in on the sort of the hot topics that you pull out of that survey of yours, and then maybe, like I said, maybe we can begin to pilot over the summer. And I look forward to hearing more.
Thank you.
Awesome job. Awesome job. So now, should we move forward? Thank you. So now is the Bilingual Advisory Committee meeting. Any reports from the Bilingual Advisory Committee? Anyone who was in the Bilingual Advisory Committee o alguien que haya ido al Comité de Asesoría Bilingüe?
I was at our last meeting where they were figuring out the way to spend down the funds, and I know that they spoke about and voted through spending down some funds, purchasing laptops for the board members of the committee, and then the remaining of the funds to spend on a workshop for parents. So I know that's one of the things that they discussed in the last session.
Do you know if it was approved or if they placed a request for it? Because I was there. I haven't been able to speak to Miss Tracy or Misaki about it, because I understand that Misaki is also part of the BAC. She's responsible for the BAC also. Anything?
Anyone from the next one, Mr. Hassan?
Maybe the No Child Left Behind Parent Advisory Committee, the PAC. No reports at this moment. How about the Communications FOIA?
There has been no requests.
Okay. How about the Professional Personnel Leadership Committee? Do we have any reports? Ms. Malhas?
We met as a PPLC last week and discussed the possibility of using our PPLC as the committee that supports the principal selection process, since this committee was open to the entire staff. People were nominated, and they are an elected group, and they are an elected group across various backgrounds. So we have social workers, teachers, counselors, ROTC. So we thought that this would be a good fit for our principal selection committee.
And it's also part of the state law. So we as PPLC, we understand that PPLC members, once they are elected, they are responsible to advise the principal in the decision making of budget and academic programs and instruction through curriculum and instruction throughout the building. It makes sense. The idea was placed for the members to consider. I think it's a wonderful idea because it will save us time in terms of organizing ourselves. We would have a group of people who have been in our school for a long time and who actually represent the best interests of the school at hand. Any questions? Public participation?
So there was Dr. Blake wanted to share with us his plan and idea, which we can vote through in our next meeting for a fundraising idea. Dr. Blake?
Hi, good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Dr. Corey Blake. I am the music teacher, one of the music teachers at Foreman. I am also one of the sponsors for our school's GSA, the LGBTQIA Alliance. We have been working very hard this school year, coming up with ideas and things, especially as we go into next school year. And so we have a wonderful idea for a fundraiser. And so I am joining you all today, asking for your support for this idea. Ideally, we would like for this to happen the last weekend before the last week of school. And what it is, it would be a movie night. And so an opportunity for students to come to the school building. There would be a suggested donation, so that way it is equitable and no one gets turned away. But a way for us to continue to bring in some funds so that we can have the money in a bucket to support projects and things of that nature in the coming school year. I know many of the groups, including music, have many wonderful ideas for continuing the beautification project at our school, which was also highlighted in Anwar's presentation. And so being able to have this fundraiser not only would be a way for us to continue to build that Foreman community, but also launch us into the next school year. We would also try to sell CPS approved snacks, as well as any types of merchandise that we can create and come up with before the event. Also, like I said, I'm one of the music teachers. Next year we have lots of big ideas, and so hopefully you will be seeing a lot more of me in the coming months.
I am fully committed to support that idea. Fully committed. In addition to that, I wanted to suggest that instead of a movie night, we could do it like a film festival. You know, something that would last maybe 3 nights in a row, and you can choose different producers or different directors. I would go with Almodovar, but you know me, I like everything that is out there. So there's so many things that we can do.
That's an excellent suggestion. I will note that currently the idea is to have 2 movies streaming at the same time in different spaces of the school of different genres, and then also making sure that we have a film in Spanish, so that way all of our community members are represented.
Fantastic. That sounds good. That sounds good.
So thank you, Dr. Blake. We look forward to supporting. I don't know if anyone has comments or questions for Dr. Blake and his idea for the fundraiser. The only thing in contacting people, I know we would have to put it on the agenda as a vote to be able to vote on it, but I'm sure that we would be able to support this and make this happen. It's just going to be a matter of timing. Anyone with questions or comments?
El doctor Blake, señor San Gabriel, el doctor Blake es uno de los maestros de música de la escuela, y él, conjuntamente con otro compañero de la facultad, es el auspiciador del grupo de la Alianza de Estudiantes Case y Straight de la escuela, y está proponiendo hacer una recaudación de fondos para comenzar a hacer actividades en la escuela, actividades sociales y culturales. Y una de las propuestas que él está haciendo es, para la próxima reunión, hacer una propuesta de recaudación de fondos en la cual se enseñen películas apropiadas para los estudiantes, obviamente, pero que sea para recaudar fondos. Y va a ser 2 tipos de películas, una en un lugar de la escuela, otra en otro lugar de la escuela. Se van a estar, si se aprueba, se estarían vendiendo todo tipo de comestibles que sean aprobados por la Junta de Educación, y cualquier tipo de mercancía que sea creada por los estudiantes o aprobada por la administración de la escuela. Esto es algo para pensarlo, algo para apoyar socialmente la comunidad gay y lesbiana y LGBT de la escuela. Solamente para que lo tengan en mente.
Pero sí, me parece buena idea.
Perfecto. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7.
Yeah. Any last? I know. I don't know if Jessica Kieran's ended up joining the call for her public participation. Is she on the call, Miss Kieran's? Okay. Well, I only have one last bit of an announcement or news. If you go to our website, I partnered up with 2 other high schools, Kelvin Park and Schurz, primarily with State Representative Gazzardi's office to provide our Foreman community with 300 vaccinations, the Pfizer COVID vaccine. And you can register your children. your immediate family, yourselves, and this also, I already made our staff aware. It's also for them as well, to register using the link that is provided on our website. If you send your son or daughter and they are underage to get their vaccine, there is one consent document that you must send them with, but the appointment is in June. There are 300 vaccines available. You just go to our website and sign yourselves up today.
El director de la escuela se ha unido con la escuela Kelvin Park y la escuela Shirts del área de nosotros para proveer 300 vacunas de la marca Pfizer para los estudiantes. Esta actividad se va a llevar a cabo en el mes de junio. La solicitud está posteada en el website de la escuela. Los estudiantes que sean menores de edad tienen que firmar un documento de consentimiento por los padres, obviamente, pero es algo que está disponible para los estudiantes y para los padres también.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes.
Ms. Woods would like the motion to, I guess if no one else has anything else to say, it's nearing 7:30. We want to respect people's time. I would like to motion to end this meeting.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
McCann, aye.
Thank you so much for the great work you guys are doing. Thank you for making this a successful meeting. And I would hope to see you again next week or next month for the next meeting.
Good night.
Have a pleasant evening, everyone.
Good night.
Have a good evening.
Ciao, ciao.